Welcome back, Warrior. We are highlighting the Book of Mormon, another testament of Jesus Christ. Alma, chapter 4. Okay, this is what we're highlighting. And this is our shielded stillness prompt for today. Who in my life needs my prayers right now? And how can I show up for them? Yes. Thinking about that one. Okay. Alma baptizes thousands of converts. Well, we're going to go in, right? Nope. I like to do like a 50 to 55 percentage of zoom so that this looks really big. Okay. Alma baptizes thousands of converts. Iniquity enters the church and the church's progress is hindered. Nephiah is appointed chief judge. Alma, as high priest, devotes himself to the ministry. About 86 to 83 BC. Now it came to pass, in the 6th year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi, there were no contentions nor wars in the land of Zarahemla. But the people were afflicted, yea, greatly afflicted for the loss of their brethren, and also for the loss of their flocks and herds, and also for the loss of their fields of grain, which were trodden underfoot and destroyed by the Lamanites. Okay, you remember how many Lamanites we died over there? Remember, it was like over 12,000 Lamanites. We're going to write that down because we don't understand quite how that feels, right? And so I'm going to write that here over. It's because sometimes we forget to empathize with people in the scriptures. And sometimes we glaze over certain things like, oh, yeah, sure, they're sad because a lot. But it was literally they lost the city of Linden. Okay, I live in Linden, and our population is less than the amount of people who died in their fight. So flocks, herds, greatly afflicted, the loss of their brethren and the loss of their flocks. Okay, so brethren or sistren, right here, brethren or sistren. We're going to write approximately 12K. It's like it's like over 12K. So like I should probably put like 12K plus. And now that looks like a T. Oh my days. And I don't have the white out. Okay, hold on. Maybe I should have just done 12,000. Let's just write the 12,000 next time. Now I don't want to cross it out. So I'll put in parentheses because, now it looks like a full equation. What was it? 12,000. We're going to zoom out to make sure we can read the amount that they had. Man. Hold on. Okay, so here's where it is. This was the Amlicites. And this was the Nephites. Okay, so that's how many had died. Can you see that? Oh my days. Here we go. Can you see it? There it is. Okay, and then we should have just wrote the same thing, but we messed it up. So 12,532. 532 were the Amlicites. And then 6,500. So it was like half of Linden. Wait, let me see. What was the number? 6,562. 6,562 Nephites lost. Nephites. Okay. We're just gonna leave it like that. I meant to write how many of the Nephites died because this is the Nephites who we're talking about. But okay, so Nephites and versus the Amlicites, right? Died. I'm just gonna versus. All right. Probably I shouldn't invent things that are not in the system here for our plan. Usually I don't go off track here. But anyway, I wanted to get an idea of how many people they were feeling the loss of. So that's why we wrote that. Okay. And so great were their afflictions that every soul had cause to mourn, and they believed that it was the judgments of God sent upon them because of their wickedness and their abominations. Therefore, they were awakened to a remembrance of their duty. And they began to... Okay, hold on. So, because... wickedness... And they began to establish the church more fully. Yea, many were baptized in the waters of Sidon and were joined to the church of God. Yea, they were baptized by the hand of Alma, who had been consecrated the high priest over the people of the church by the hand of his father Alma. And it came to pass, in the 7th year of the reign of the judges, there were about 3,500 souls that united themselves to the church of God and were baptized. And thus ended the 7th year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi. And there was continual peace in all that time. Okay, so hold on, let's go back. So... we're doing our blue highlighting. Oh, you know what? We gotta highlight this page because we like going backwards. So let's highlight this page. Can't believe I messed that up. This is so dumb, huh? You know, sometimes you make bad choices when you're highlighting too. Ugh. Oh, I should have put abominations in a highlight. Oh, well, in a yellow highlighter. But I'll still do it. Okay, now we're going to read the other. Here we go. Zoom in. And it came to pass in the 8th year of the reign of the judges that the people of the church began to wax proud because of their exceeding riches and their fine silks and their fine twined linen, and because of their many flocks and herds and their gold and their silver and all manner of precious things which they had obtained by their industry. And in all these things they were lifted up in the pride of their eyes, for they began to wear very costly apparel. Now this was the cause of much affliction to Alma, yea, to many of the people whom Alma had consecrated to be teachers and priests and elders over the church. Yea, many of them were sorely grieved for the wickedness which they saw had begun to be among their people. Okay, so wickedness. Pride of their eyes. Wax proud. Right here. Got this one. It's not bad to have riches and be rich and have gold and silver and nice clothing, but it's bad when we're waxing proud or we have pride in our eyes, right? Okay, let's just put that out there. Make sure that we're not confused. For they saw and beheld with great sorrow that the people of the church began to be lifted up in the pride of their eyes. See? And set their hearts upon riches and upon the vain things of the world. Set hearts. That's how our hearts fail us. And they began to be scornful. Don't be scornful. One towards another, and they began to persecute those that did not believe according to their own will and pleasure. And thus is in this 8th year of the reign of the judges, where there began to be great contentions among the people of the church. Yea, there were envyings and strife and malice and persecutions and pride, even to exceed the pride of those who did not belong to the church of God. Yeah, let's not do that. Just because we are part of the church of God does not need to fill us with pride, envyings, contentions. Okay. Whoa, do not drop my pen. Okay, and thus ended the 8th year of the reign of the judges, and the wickedness of the church was a great stumbling block to those who did not belong to the church, and thus the church began to fail in its progress. Yeah, because now we're not being good examples of Christ-like attributes, people. And it came to pass in the commencement of the 9th year, Alma saw the wickedness of the church, and he saw also the example of the church began to lead those who were unbelievers on from one piece of iniquity to another, thus bringing on the destruction of the people. Now, I just want to put in a plug for a movie or a TV show called, no, I can't remember. It's like something about Mormon wives, the lives of Mormon wives or something. Anyways, they're supposed to be passing off as members of our church, of our faith, and they're being super bad examples and trying to represent us as members of the church, the way that they are living. And originally, this show, they began with them being all married, and then by the end of the show, they're all except one of their families is divorced. And I'm like, that's because they were sleeping around doing wicked things like that, sharing each other. I'm like, this is a bad example, and this is exactly what this is, right? The church was a great stumbling block to those who did not belong to the church, right? So other people that might be watching could also be a stumbling block for them, and hopefully not, hopefully we can start good conversations because of it, but still. And it came to pass that the commencement of the 9th year, Alma saw wickedness of the church, and he saw also the example of the church began to lead those who were unbelievers from one piece of iniquity to another, thus bringing destruction of the people. So yeah, we're just not being good examples. Okay, I had to highlight those. So yeah, be a good example. Yeah, people have their own choices and they're able to do whatever they want, but just be Christ-like. And now that those poor children are going to have issues growing up. Not that we all don't, but because of their parents, though, Okay, yea. He saw great inequality among the people, some lifting themselves up with their pride, despising others, turning their backs upon the needy and the naked, and those who were hungry, and those who were athirst, and those who were sick and afflicted. Okay, so I should just leave this one out, right? Inequality, lifting themselves up with their pride, despising others, turning their backs upon the needy and the naked and the hungry. Because being hungry is not a sin, but turning your back on people who are those who are athirst. Okay. Yeah, I guess this whole thing is just like one big bad choice lots of bad choices from them, from Satan. Okay, those are the satanic ideas. Okay, now this was a great cause for lamentations among the people, while others were abasing themselves, succoring those who stood in need of their succor, such as imparting their substance to the poor and the needy, feeding the hungry, and suffering all manner of affliction for Christ's sake, who should come according to the spirit of prophecy, looking forward to that day, thus retaining a remission of their sins, being filled with great joy because of the resurrection of the dead, according to the will and the power and the deliverance of Jesus Christ from the bands of death. And now it came to pass that Alma, having seen the afflictions of the humble followers of God, the persecutions which were heaped upon them by the remainder of his people, and seeing all their inequality, began to be very sorrowful. Nevertheless, the Spirit of the Lord did not fail him. Okay. So persecutions again. And the Spirit of the Lord. And he selected a wise man who was among the elders of the church and gave him power according to the voice of the people, that he might have power to enact laws according to the laws which had been given, and to put them in force according to the wickedness and the crimes of the people. Now this man's name was Nephihah, and he was appointed wickedness and crimes. And he was appointed chief judge, and he sat in the judgment seat to judge and to govern the people. And Alma did not grant unto him the office of being high priest over the church, but he retained the office of high priest unto himself. But he delivered the judgment seat unto Nephihah. Yeah, because now Alma's trying to be like, I can't do everything, and these people are falling and failing, right? Making bad choices. Satan is taking hold of their hearts. And this he did, that he himself might go forth among his people, or among the people of Nephi, that he might preach the word of God. He wants to be a missionary unto them, to stir them up in remembrance of their duty, and that he might pull down by the word of God all the pride and craftiness and all the contentions. Let's see, pride, craftiness, contentions, which were among his people, seeing no way that he might reclaim them, save it were in bearing down impure testimony against them. Wow. So he wanted to just be a missionary, okay? And thus, in the commencement, and I say just because he wanted to be the prophet and preach and minister, right? It's not like the only, but like that was just because he was both things, but he wanted to just be the one thing now. Okay, and this is in the commencement of the 9th year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi. Alma delivered up the judgment seat to Nephihah and confined himself wholly to the high priesthood of the holy order of God, to the testimony of the word according to the spirit of revelation and prophecy. Okay, now we're going to reverse highlight with our blue. You know, and sometimes that's what we do. We refocus, right? We were like, we were distracted with something else, and we realize, you know, our family or our neighbors need us or whatever, and it's like, let's focus all our energies on the people that we love. Okay, wait. Okay. We are almost there. It is just crazy that when we get just a little bit of prosperity, we start thinking we're better than everybody, right? And I'm saying we because I'm not exempting myself from it. I'm sure I'm better at it at times than others, but cannot say all the time where staying humble is hard for everybody, you know? Okay. There we go. And now we're going to do our page titles, and we're going to find the page numbers that we're on. So I think 216 says members of the church lifted up in pride. Ooh, yep. Hopefully that's not the kind of word you're in. Okay. Members of the church lifted up in pride. Now I'm kind of a keep to myself kind of person. And so like We don't really meddle in a bunch of other people's biz or things. And so sometimes other people feel this lifting up in pride, whereas some might not if they keep to themselves, you know? Okay, Nephi appointed as chief judge. So, I mean, I wasn't even here this one time, and in our ward, somebody got up and shared testimony or something, I don't know, about how mean our ward was to their family or them. And I was like, what? How did I miss that? And, you know, I kind of just like that I don't know much about what's going on with people. I usually stay out of the drama, and that's what helps me focus on the things that need to focus on. And so those kind of things don't like bother me. But it is sad that some people in our own neighborhood felt this, you know, felt that pride and felt bullied and things because of who they were. And this person is just an awesome person, and their family is amazing. And I bet it's just because people are just jealous of them, you know? And so anyway, I just think it's super mean to be mean. So let's be kind. Okay, here we go. Until Alma chapter 5, stay strong, warrior.